What is up, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Your 5D Journey. My name is Lucas. Happy spring, and I'm here to help you live your best life. That's what I was feeling today. I was like, live your best life. So I'm going to combine a lot of different thoughts that I've kind of merged into one. So I read this thing on Facebook several years ago that said, you never defeat your demons, you just learn to live above them. And it hit me really strong there because it was kind of like, if we detach from our past, from things that we would call like demonic interference, honestly, is out of my language now. I use that word because it's understood by people. Like demons and angels are like a really easy, like you get the demon in one ear, angel in the other ear, but really those words still have a lot of value that I don't necessarily hold because I don't believe in heaven and hell, eternal in heaven and hell. Just don't believe that. I believe in heaven and hell every day here, for sure. And I believe that we all have voices in our heads that are a mixture of things we see on television, things we read in the news, things we interact with our friends. Like, it's a combination of all the things around us that are part of our being. And it's not possible to delete part of yourself. You can ignore it. You can shove it down to the bottom of your subconscious and pretend it doesn't exist and let that seed grow into a ever powerful tree of shadow that just slowly takes over and eats away your life and your peace and your sanity and your happiness. But ultimately, it's really about owning the different parts of ourselves. And those demonic aspects, they're part of us. And I started watching Walking Dead with James recently, which I'm not sure we're going to finish it because it's becoming too much. Like, we're in season 8, episode 9 or something right now, and I'm getting bored and tired of the endless drama. I'm just like, life is not this bad all the time. Like, this is exhausting. It's too much work. And one of the characters did this thing where she took 2 of the walkers, they're zombies. She took 2 of the walkers and she cut off their arms so they couldn't scratch her, and she removed their jaws, and then discovered once she removed their jaws, they no longer have that instinctual craving to feed, and they can't scratch you, so they're basically just cover, and she would be able to walk through the lands of multiple zombies without being detected because she had her demons with her. And ironically enough, the 2 that she was carrying were, I believe, her husband and his brother or her brother. But it was so powerful, and it connected me back to that thought that you can never destroy your demons. You learn to live in a higher resonance above them. And in my experience, that demonic energy, that awareness of it, because in my mind, we're all reflections of God. We're all reflections of the human experience. And I think that as a majority, most of us have the same thoughts that we struggle with. We have the same addictive tendencies. We have the same negative trails that we get into. And they're all part of just negative cognitive dissonance, right? That's all it is. You can call it demonic. You can call it just bad vibes. You can just call it, bad psychology 101. But we all live with those thoughts. And sometimes we act upon them. Sometimes we don't. But we have them. We have those thoughts. And it's just one of those things where when you really dig down to the deepest parts of yourself and you start searching through why you have problems with rejection, why you have problems with abandonment, why you have problems with self-worth and self-image issues, they're all demonic energy. It's someone came at you, something you saw, read in a book, told you that you needed to think, feel, or act a certain way. And maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but it's there. And once you compartmentalize all these parts of your shadow and you start acknowledging that that's part of who you are, that's part of your makeup, and you begin to love those things, that's when the transcendence happens. And it's so easy to get wrapped up. Just yesterday and the day before, I was just talking to people that just don't communicate in the way that I would like, or don't really give their entire full energy. And that inner demon of me, my inner demon of anger, wanted to just rage back, I was in the middle of like talking to someone and it became like a three-way call where they were screenshotting what the other person said, and I was going, oh God. And I wanted to get mad, and I wanted to message those people and be like, listen, I know what you're saying about me. And then all of a sudden I realized, why? Why chase after the energy? Why get worked up? What's it worth? And that realization has happened several times in the last few weeks, where I can feel words brewing up inside of me when I'm frustrated. And all of a sudden, I just want to talk about it, just to talk about it. And I'm realizing that doesn't do any good. Feeding the energy, even through just speech, doesn't do it any good. Feeding the energy through thoughts or intention or time with our thoughts, it doesn't do any good. It really doesn't. It doesn't serve us. And I'm like on a bit of a tangent now, but we've spent so long in survival mode on this planet, like, that I think now it's really difficult for some people to get out of that mode, because the survivalist instinct, the negative, fearful, I'm gonna do whatever I have to make this thing happen, that energy, it's old and it's dead. Like, it's time to share. And that's like, when I view like a pack of demons versus like a pack of angels, I feel like if a pack of demons were looking for food, the first demon that got there, that found the piece of meat, would probably snarf that meat down, and then demon number 2 would come in and they would snarf that meat down, and they'd be fighting over it. And before you know it, they're all fighting and killing each other over meat, kind of like orcs in Lord of the Rings. But an angel wouldn't do that. If 10 angels were walking and looking for food and one angel found bread, I guarantee you that angel would break that bread into 10 equal pieces and share. There'd be no fighting. And that really is kind of like what this whole last 2 years has really kind of brought to my attention, is that people are still living in survival mode. They're scared, and they're willing to fight for what it is they need. But that's demonic. It's unnecessary. And those people just haven't risen above those demons yet. And I'm not sitting here claiming to be some like high and holy shaman spiritual healer that never has any flaws. Ask my grandmother and my fiance who I live with. I'm not flawless. And but it's being present and aware of when those parts of ourselves show up, and then checking in with ourselves. Where did this come from? Where did I first hear those words? Where did I first see someone act in the way that I'm acting now? And how did I feel when that happened? It's just one of those things, like you really just, it's about being present and then being graceful for yourself as you work through it. Because once you become aware of the cognitive dissonance, I keep stepping that word down, and the negative frequencies you carry, once you become aware of them, they'll go away. They'll heal. They'll go into the place where the lost things go, in the back of your aura, and your new aura, your future self, will shine bright. And if I could even offer a piece of advice, journaling really is an amazing thing. I've already mentioned it before on this channel, but journaling really is an amazing thing. It can bring some really interesting energy into your life. And a lot of people, like I've been going through a fight with someone recently who just like, you don't need to figure out where the root of everything is. And I'm like, if we don't pull the root, it's gonna keep growing. Like, we can chop it off, we can shave the flowers, we can do whatever we want, but until you reach down in the earth and pull that root out, it's gonna keep growing. And where do your negative thoughts come from? Where did you first hear them? And then once you go back to that place and you heal that place interdimensionally through your awareness and your consciousness, it'll stop growing. So Side note, over 10 minutes. My sleeping patterns have been crazy for months. Like, I get up one day at 7 a.m. and work hard until 3, and then I'll fall asleep at 5 and get up at 8. And then that night I'm up till 4 a.m. and then I go to sleep and I'm sleeping till 11 a.m. and then I'm up until 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. and I go to sleep for an hour and a half and I'm up for 3 hours and back to sleep. There's been so many upgrades coming in, so many downloads coming in, so much reprogramming happening right now in my brain. And I don't feel like it's just me. I'm watching the people around me go through their own inner transformations, and that really is what this has been about. This 2020, 2021, 2022, maybe even the whole decade, is about reprogramming. I think it's really important that each of us take the time to really acknowledge who we are. Quit judging others. Quit holding people to some sort of weird standard that really doesn't exist. It's we can all, for some reason, connect to the kid who's been bullied. All of us can. So if all of us connect to being bullied, wouldn't that say that all of us are the victim in that circumstance? But how many of us have actually been bullies? And how many of those people, here's the funny too, ask 100 people, how many of you have been bullied? You might get say 96% say yes. Ask them how many of you have bullied somebody. You're gonna get 42%. I just made those numbers up. But people hate owning the fact that they are the bad guy. We've all been the bad guy. We've all been the bad guy. We've all moved from a demonic place. We've all fallen short of the glory of who we are as a human. And so we're angels and demons wrapped into some tight skin, bones, muscle, and tissue. That's the truth. So you guys have a great day. Happy hunting for 5D.